Today we're at Woodlawn Memorial Park and Mausoleum in Nashville, Tennessee. We're looking for the final resting place of country music great George Jones. If you go to the funeral home, they'll give you a map of the country music stars that are buried in this cemetery if you ask for it. But honestly, George Jones's gravesite has such an elaborate marker, you don't need it. As we go through the gate opening nearest George's gravesite, as there is two gates there in this fenced-in area, the first thing that I notice is a sign that catches my eye that says that there's a guest book that you can sign at the funeral home for George Jones. I've noticed that there is always been a sign saying that George Jones has a guest book at the funeral home all the times that I've been coming to his gravesite, which is the first time I visited was right after he passed away. So I don't know if the family is keeping all the guest books for themselves or if they're donating it to a museum or what, but you know there has got to be several guest books that has been signed over the years. Another thing that I noticed today for the first time is a round bronze marker that's up next to the vase that has GJ, which is George Jones's initial, and looks like vines in it, is that George was a veteran, and that is something I didn't know also, and George Jones was a Marine veteran. As you look at one of the two markers for George Jones, you'll notice on one side of the marker it has a write-up about George, and on the other side it has a write-up about his last wife. There's also a spot beside where George is buried for her to be buried when she passes away. And you can't miss that one of the nicknames that he didn't mind having was the possum is on the large marker. Then you'll notice that the flat marker has several of George's pictures on it from even when he was a young boy up until his country music status. George Jones was born in Texas, and he also was a member of the Grand Ole Opry for over 50 years. He was inducted into the Country Music Hall of Fame in Nashville and also into the Texas Country Music Hall of Fame. George was probably best known for the songs he sang with his third wife, Tammy Wynette. The song We're Gonna Hold On reached #1 for them and on the charts, and it was co-written by George himself. Since we're at this fenced-in part of the cemetery, and there's a couple of other graves located here in this area that has a George Jones connection, we'll take a look at those. First, we'll take a look at the gravesite of Johnny Paycheck. Johnny was born with the name Donald Eugene Little, but in 1964 he would legally change his name to that of Johnny Paycheck. Johnny played for a while in George Jones's band before he went out on his own as a country music singer. I enjoy hearing Johnny's song, Don't Take Her, She's All I've Got. Another added note on him is that it's Johnny would get down on his luck in later years, and it is said that George Jones would end up buying his burial plot. Now to the next ones. Now we're going to also be taking a look at the final two in this section of the cemetery that has a George Jones connection. The next one is that of Jerry Chesnut. Jerry was a well-known country music songwriter. The bench here has his name on it, and it also tells a couple of the awards he won for his songwriting. Jerry would write songs for famous people such as Elvis Presley, Johnny Cash, Alan Jackson, Loretta Lynn, and of course the one we're talking about mainly today, George Jones, and a little bit more about that after we take a closer look at his marker. This is going to be the final resting place of his wife Pat too when she passes, but they've already got the marker up for all except her death date on it. And speaking of George Jones, as you look at Jerry's bronze part of his marker, you'll see some titles of songs he writes, and then on it is included one of the songs that George Jones would record, A Good Year for Roses. Jerry's marker is very nice. It includes several titles of some of his well-known songs that he wrote, as well as it has musical notes on it. It also has a picture of him as a little boy and as an adult on it. His wife's marker will have a picture of her as a little girl and an adult on it too, but it also includes a picture of them as a married couple, which I really like that being on her marker. Now we'll go to take a look at the final gravesite that's going to be in this video. This is of a man that was inducted into the Country Music Hall of Fame, the Nashville's Musician Hall of Fame, as well as the Alabama Music Hall of Fame. I'm going to be talking about Billy Sherrill. George Jones would end up buying out a contract from the record company that he was in so he could have Billy as his producer. And that would probably be because at the time, George's third wife, Tammy Wynette, was being produced by Billy. Billy was hired at one time by Sam Phillips to run the Phillips Nashville recording studio. Billy would produce several songs for George and Tammy singing together, but I think one of the most famous things is he co-wrote the song that would become Tammy Wynette's signature song, Stand By Your Man. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you have, I'd love for you to subscribe to my channel. Thanks so much for watching, and until next time.